minutes is one of the ways we do it. We spend a lot of time out in communities talking. Now, of course, with social media, there's ways of getting information around that are different from ways in the past. In terms of, media, whether it's television or radio or newspapers, obviously the people who run those organisations will bring some of their own perspectives to bear on what they think is news and how it should be reported. But let me assure you, we are out and about in the community trying to make the points that really matter for the nation's future. So thank you very much. We'll go to the gentleman at the back. Yes, you, sir.
Would you marry Prime Minister for not staying? Why 3 of your ministers have refused to come to address us? With disability trusts, why is it a stipulation to work no more than 7 hours a week when the normal working day is 8 hours? Please, would you answer this? Will the NDIS ever get up and running with the high debt the country is in?
Okay, thank you, sir. Oh, sorry.
One more thing.
One more.
You dipped me out of saying you before.
Sorry?
I was cross of the list to come and see you before.
To see me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, look, we can follow up with you, but what I'll do now is I'll get Jenny Macklin as the Minister to answer your direct questions. Okay. We do the best we can to see people beforehand. Obviously, the demand is always bigger than the available time, but we'll get Jenny to answer your question now.
Thanks very much, PM. And I'll get one of my staff to come and get your details so that we can communicate with each other. But just on your general question about whether or not the National Disability Insurance Scheme, which we call Disability Care Australia, is going to happen, it certainly is. The Treasurer put $1 billion into the National Disability Insurance Scheme in last year's budget, so that it can start from the 1st of July. It's going to start in Geelong and in the Hunter in New South Wales, for children in South Australia and for adolescents in Tasmania, and all of that will start from the 1st of July. We've got staff being recruited, the legislation is through the Parliament, the money is in the budget. I was in Geelong last week. I can assure you people with disability are getting ready, the staff are getting ready. It's all about to be very real for people in Geelong and in the Hunter, South Australia and Tassie. As the Prime Minister indicated a minute ago, we're negotiating with the states to get the full scheme rollout. We've agreed it with New South Wales so far, and we're very hopeful that we'll have other states agree in the very near future.
Thank you.
One of my staff's just behind you and he'll get your details now.
We've got a lot of people wanting to ask questions. I want to get through them. So I'll take the young lady there. Yes, you.
My name is Catherine Hall. I'm involved with the group Baby Boomers for Climate Change Action, which my mother started. I'm also the founder of Move Green, which is a youth and environmental and climate change organisation based in Central Asia. I had the pleasure earlier of bumping into Tanya in the toilet, and she said we were both washing our hands. And she said, Prime Minister, that you are on a political knife edge, and I'm afraid that that is true. Fortunately, your biggest political opponent happens to be Donald Duck. And you also have the biggest issue facing mankind at your fingertips. Climate change is the biggest issue facing Australia. It will affect our economy, it will affect our health, and it will affect the stability of our region. Australians care about climate change, and Mr Simon Deacon cares about climate change. Maybe you can't hear this in offices that are sound-padded by the influence of vested interests, but the community cares about climate change. So my question is, why aren't you making climate change the issue for this election? Because this will affect my generation.
Well, number one, I'm going to say you never know where you're going to find a cabinet minister, do you? those cabinet ministers get around. Number two, I can assure you that from the point of view of the government, climate change and combating it in the most effective way, putting a price on carbon, that will be one of the big issues as we move to election day. It's certainly been probably the single most debated issue during this period of Parliament. And we took that big step knowing that it would be controversial, but we took that big step because it's absolutely right for our nation's future to put a price on carbon, to start getting carbon out of our economy and to make a difference to the amount of carbon pollution in our atmosphere. It's right for our economy to send a signal that we want a clean energy future, but it's also right for all of the generations to come. So when you said baby boomer, so you're certainly not one, but you're amongst the generations that are going to this general distinction between the political parties, and clearly going to be a very big debate in the lead up to the September election. So thank you for your question. I'll take the lady here. Yes, you. Yes.
Dr. Roxanne Bougen, just like to congratulate you very much, commend you for establishing the Royal Commission into Child Abuse in Religious Institutions. But my question is, it's not soon enough. My question is, what now happens to the parliamentary inquiries for victims who don't fall under the umbrella of what happens with the Royal Commission but still have heinous damage done to them through other forms of abuse?
Okay. Look, we did think very strongly when we set up the Royal Commission about what was the right way of doing the terms of reference and who should serve as Royal Commissioners, and it was a balance between making sure that we not only gave people who had survived child sexual abuse the ability to have their stories heard and to finally say to them, we're listening, there's not a closed door in front of you anymore, and, to get to the bottom of the lessons we could learn for our nation's future. We knew what we were setting up was big and it was going to take a lot of time, and then it becomes a judgment call about, how big and consequently how much time is taken. But there are some other processes that are in train, and Mark, are you able to make a comment about that?
Just in relation to your specific inquiry, this is a very large inquiry. It's a national inquiry, and of course, as you've said in your question, there are other state inquiries that are proceeding. The Commission is very concerned not to duplicate the work, but it is going to refer to and make reference to use the work that's done in those other inquiries, which include particularly the Victorian inquiry into the handling of child abuse by religious and other organisations. It's due to report in September 2013. The Royal Commission's a larger exercise, but very much it's going to refer to and use, to the extent that it can, work done by other inquiries, not just this current one in Victoria, but a whole range of other inquiries that have taken place in the past. As the Prime Minister said, it's a very large exercise, but it is now underway. The Royal Commission's held its first hearing here in Melbourne on the 3rd of April.
And in the terms of reference, we did refer to child sexual abuse and related matters because we're aware that a number of people who suffered child sexual abuse also suffered other forms of abuse that needs to be exposed, and that we need as a nation to let people tell their stories. We all need to, as painful as it is, we all need to face up to what has occurred. And to learn the lessons for the future. So thank you for your question. What I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here and then come back so people here can rest their hands for a minute, but we will come over and get some more questions over here. So we'll take a question, maybe the gentleman there, just you, sir. Yes.
My name is Jim Beggs. And on behalf of my wife and I'd like to congratulate the Labor government since it's been in office at the unprecedented support that you've given to pensioners like us. And it's a question or a challenge to you, Julia, that I've spent 60 years working in industry where 45D visas